With all the illustrious panelists that is there on the stage today, I have to confess one thing before we begin. I am the only non-finance guy on the stage today. So I will try to see and be a part of you for finance, for non-finance. That's what I will try to bring across as much as possible. And in case I make a mistake, I hope you will bear with me because I'm just part of you. Well, the topic that we are going to discuss today is development through banking, enabling growth, empowering communities, which is quite a large and a vast topic to be thought of. But having said that, we will try to see as much as possible, try to cover as much as possible in the length and breadth of Sikkim as much as possible. Having said that, we will also try to see how banking sectors have helped. And if I can quickly put a quote that is quite famous amongst the mountain people is that the strength of the river is not measured by the speed of the flow of the water, but the number of people or communities it nourishes. That is what it says. And banking is just like the river. And the number of people it touches, that is the number of community that it helps. That is how good the banking sector is supposed to be. And given that, if I may also add to it, having observed the beginning of the sessions and trying to look at it, and 58 bank branches of SBS in Sikkim, with one adding every year, I think that is a growth that everybody would like to appreciate. And having said that, I don't know, I was just making a back of the envelope calculations, which I am very used to. And when you say this is a 10,000 crore company, I think this is one of the first, if I may be allowed to use the word, the first unicorn, because that is more than 1.2 billion. That is the number of calculation. And congratulations to the MD. This is one of the first that I know of, $1 billion company or $1 billion bank in the state of Sikkim. And this shows the progress and the stride the government is trying to work with to ensure there's growth in the state as well. So putting this together, if I can move forward, I will also put one small little highlight that when we talk about 58 bank branches in the state of Sikkim, if you look at it, even if you go by the number of SBI, that says that each branch serves 12,000 people in the state of Sikkim. For every 12,000 people, there is a branch of SBS. I don't know if this calculation is ever done. And also, with 1,000 employees that he just mentioned, that makes it for every 700 people in Sikkim, every 700 citizen of Sikkim, irrespective of age, gender, caste, creed, irrespective of that, you have an employee working for you. That's something very amazing. And with that number, if I may be allowed to move forward, so State Bank of Sikkim, though I'm also not from this place, but having said that, I've met a couple of elderly people, very fondly, they call the State Bank of Sikkim as Sikkim Bank, if I remember this correctly. And this is the phone connection of the people and the bank. I think this is something that we have to appreciate. But having said that, sir, my first question to you is to the MD, sir. And my first question will be to begin with, congratulations on this anniversary. And also, I would like to ask you this question. It is functioning as a treasury as well as functions as part of the government, SBS as such. So, from a general perspective, how is it contributing in general to the development of the state? Though we have mentioned earlier, if you could kindly set lights on it to begin the story and the context forward. It will be very kind of you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Tej, for your kind words on State Bank of Sikkim. I think numbers which we also haven't calculated that way, that we are so proud to come across these numbers. Thank you so much. As far as your question is concerned, that we are a quasi-treasury come banking institutions functioning in the state of Sikkim. And as you have asked now, how we are contributing in the economic development of the state. I think if I put this in such a way, that I think we have, over the years, we have touched upon, I think, each and every program of the government. Sikkim Sarkar ko jati वटा पनि programs हरु छ, development schemes हरु छ. So you call it construction of roads, you call it the construction of hospitals, you call it constructions of schools, and any other infrastructure development. Jatiwata pani Sikkim government ko programs haru cha. So these are taken up by our local contractors, you know. And in Sikkim, one of the major problem is about, you know, the working capital funds, you know, that these contractors needs, you know. So these most of these projects are funded through these contractors as a working capital funding by the state of Sikkim. Now today, maybe there are many loans which might have gone into NPA category, you know, which is always been like we are accustomed to accused of, you know. Tara एउटा चीज चाहिँ क्लियर हो है, हामीले जुन फन्डिङ गर्यो यो जति प्रोजेक्ट्सहरुमा आज हाम्रोमा स्कुल बिल्डिङ छ. I think if you see school building, it's if you school buildings, hospitals or jati even cha. So per capita infrastructure jati Sikkim government le aile samma develop gareko cha त्यसको पिछाडी is State Bank of Sikkim, हैन. र State Bank of Sikkim ले यस्तो प्रकारले हामीले गभर्नमेन्ट को प्रोग्राममा फेसिलिटेट गरिरहेको छौं, हैन. And apart from that, you know, recently very noble schemes of the government of Sikkim, the Ama Sasaktikaran schemes जुन चाहिँ लन्च गरेको छ, all accounts are with the State Bank of Sikkim. र हामीले US मा यो पनि गरेको छ with the guidance of the Honorable Chief Minister. जस्ट जो यो आमा सशक्तिकरण स्किम्स को अकाउन्ट्सहरु मेन्टेन गरेको छ, and the best आमा सशक्तिकरण स्किम्स को चाहिँ आमा अकाउन्ट्सहरु छ. दिस द नोबल स्किम्स अफ द गभर्नमेन्ट अफ सिक्किम, जसले चाहिँ यो सीड मनी जुन चाहिँ गभर्नमेन्टले दिन्छ त्यसमा राम्रो अकाउन्ट अपरेट गर्यो भने फर्स्ट द बेस्ट अकाउन्ट्स इज रिवार्डेड विथ 3 lakhs, द सेकेन्ड बेस्ट इज रिवार्डेड विथ 2 lakhs, and the third based with 1 lakh is annually. त्यो चाहिँ गभर्नमेन्ट अफ सिक्किमको स्किम्स हो. तर हामीलाई भनेको छ यो चाहिँ तिमीहरूले इन्करेज गर्नुपर्छ भन्दाखेरि हामीले गरेको छौं. एन्ड दिस टाइम वी हेभ प्रपोज्ड, अहिलेसम्म चाहिँ हामीले स्टेटमा यो 3टा दिन्थ्यौं. सो दिस टाइम चाहिँ हामीले अनरेबल चिफ मिनिस्टरलाई भनेर उहाँले हामीले सजेस्ट गर्यौं कि नाउ फ्रम नेक्स्ट इयर चाहिँ हामी यसलाई डिस्ट्रिक्ट वाइजमा यो फर्स्ट सेकेन्ड थर्ड लिएर आएर फर्स्टलाई 3 लाख 2 लाख 1 लाख गरेर हामी 6 वटा डिस्ट्रिक्टमा 18 वटालाई हामीले रिवार्ड गर्ने, जसले चाहिँ राम्रो पैसा राख्छ, सेभिङ्स गर्छ र जसले चाहिँ प्रगति देखाउँछ त्यसमा चाहिँ हामीले 3 लाख 2 लाख 1 गरेर हामीले यसमा रिवार्ड सिक्किम सरकारको थ्रुबाट हामी दिन्छौँ भनेर पनि गरेको छौँ. अपार्ट फ्रम द्याट हामीले मैले अघि नै मैले इन द फर्स्ट सेसन मैले भने जुन चाहिँ स्किल्ड युथ स्टार्टअप स्किममा हामीले पार्टिसिपेट गरेर we have financed close to 2,000 youngsters. Out of from that 2,000, internally we calculated, I think employment generation from those 2,000 units are not less than 10,000. So 10,000 employment generate भएको छ in Sikkim through this skill youth startup scheme. यो गभर्नमेन्ट अफ सिक्किमको जुन चाहिँ फ्ल्यागशिप प्रोग्राम्स हो र त्यस्तो प्रकारले हामीले we are contributing in the development of the Sikkim.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that is a wonderful insight into what we will move forward with. Since it is dealing with the bank and moving forward with the bank alone, and we have Mr. Phurba sir from SBI as also representing as the lead bank manager. So you also have, I would not like to miss the fact that SBI is the second largest number of banks they have in branches in the state of Sikkim with 41, that's what it is. So that calculates to approximately about 17,000 for every 17,000 approximately, if I'm not mistaken, if my calculator is correct. So it should be for every 17,000 you have one bank branch. That is the kind of service that you're providing as the second largest branch. So continuing with what our MD has just mentioned, I was just wondering, what are the roles that SBI and also in capacity as a lead bank, as you also have a say in most of the branches in all other banks in Sikkim, what are the roles that the bank plays in enabling the growth and empowerment that you have seen in the last 5-6 years? Would you like to highlight, sir?
Yes, banking, as we know, is, as MD sir said in his inaugural speech, that it is the driving engine for growth of the economy. So in Sikkim, it is no different. If we see at the pan-India level also, banks have been driving financial inclusion. Financial inclusion is something that the government of India had started driving, and the basic aim was to cover maximum citizen under, to bring maximum citizens into the formal banking channel, right? So I was going through our data, around 2011, the number of the percentage of adults above 15 years having formal bank accounts was only around 35%. So after this financial inclusion started, around mid-2024, that percentage jumped to 89%. So that is growth. We have managed to bring that many people into the formal banking channel. And now by bringing them into the formal banking channel, what happens is that, like, another area, another aim for driving financial inclusion is to make the banking, basic banking facilities accessible and affordable. Accessible and affordable. These are the two main aims, like, two main criterias of financial inclusion. So, like, the basic banking facilities that are savings, risk protection, and credit. The three of the major areas have been covered under financial inclusion. We have seen a growth in a number of zero balance accounts where the customers, they do not need to maintain any deposits. Okay, there is no capping on, there's no minimum requirement that you have to maintain this. So that is available for each and every one. So that is there. Apart from that, various insurance schemes at the very basic level. By paying like 436 rupees, you can get a protection of up to 2 lakhs. By paying 20 rupees, you can get accidental insurance of up to 2 lakhs. So these are all initiatives taken under the financial inclusion. Apart from that, there are n number of credit-linked schemes where a customer can approach the bank, and that is where the affordable part comes in. Because over there, the government is subsidizing either the margin or maybe the interest part. So that is where the bank comes in, because right at the center of it is the entire banking system. So in Sikkim also, it is no different. We have tried to cover as much as possible. I'm not exactly sure about the data, but in Sikkim, the account coverage ratio is higher than the national average. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the insight. Moving forward with an experience in the banking side as well as with financial consultant, I am moving towards Mr. Navneet with the next question. And you have some experience consulting with some of the startups and young entrepreneurs as well. So with that in mind, I was just wondering if you could highlight on the roles that the banks can play, especially in terms of the entrepreneurs managing their cash flow and the raising of capital, or for instance, raising funds, for instance, to make it in more simpler word. And more importantly, where the banks are also very importantly considering that the investment that has happened should be sustainable and making sure that the startup or the entrepreneur continue to sustain so that they are able to repay in case there's an investment. So on those lines, what are the roles that banks should play and what can be done around this, if you could kindly highlight on that?
Thank you so much for this question. So the role of a bank, as it is, started as a bridge between capital and the consumer, right? It started as saying that somebody is depositing money and the bank was supposed to channelize it to give it to somebody who required the capital. So that is the primary foundation of how a bank should operate. Then subsequently, as things developed, the bank was also involved in making their own investments and collecting funds from across the retail segment, right? So now, taking it forward, while it was primarily happening post-independence, it happened with the industrialization, then the IDBI and the ICICI started functioning, wherein the capital was majorly employed into big industries. Subsequently, as we move forward, we've also realized that the startups or / the entrepreneurs have been a major force in terms of driving employment, especially here under the employment scheme and the entrepreneurship scheme that the state has been driving so well. People have realized that it is one industry that could support people throughout their lives, right? So as a bank, yes, first, how do we go about it? So I'll give you a random example wherein I was talking to a young person about, his first apprehension was, he's just out of college. First thing he said was, bank loan di connection chahicha. So I said, what connection do you need? I went to 2-3 people. I went to XYZ banks, and they said, okay, if you know somebody, then only I will get a loan. So my first question to him was, what do you want to do? Right? So he said, I want to start up in this industry. So I said, what have you done about it? So my only suggestion to everyone who's starting this business, before we talk cash flows, before we talk about total addressable market linkages, we talk about balance sheet, anything. First thing a bank would like to see is your conviction in that business. How much time have you spent about studying about that business? If you want to start a poultry business, what is the turnaround time in terms of a poultry versus a piggery? A piggery will probably take about 10 months to harvest, right? Whereas a poultry would be probably 45 days. So the working capital cycle required in a poultry business is much lesser. So are you aware of it? The bank, first and foremost, when the bank manager or the person who is lending meets you, the first thing he will see is your conviction in the business. Then subsequently, they will ask you questions about what is the turnover that you are expecting, what is the gross margins that you expect. Primarily, that is all that is required of an entrepreneur. He will not ask you details about the balance sheet. There are professionals who will help you make the project report. But are you convinced that this market is ready for this product? Are you convinced that the market is big enough to sustain your business? So I think these are very pertinent questions that are there, which every entrepreneur should learn. So as a financial consultant, we help people, we try to educate them, and if they do come to us or even to the banks, I think they are more than apt. The bank managers would be more than willing to help you in terms of formalizing your structure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Navneet. Thank you so much for that, sir. Well, moving forward, this is going to be something which is very close to my heart as well as to all the entrepreneurs who are present here today. We have constantly been talking about a term called wealth creation. Wealth creation is something that was really not considered for everybody because it belongs to a certain section of the society where people from the business class can only create more businesses for themselves. And we have always made it felt to the society, in our society, that business can be done only by the business community, and then they have been able to sustain it better. But having said that, today with entrepreneurship and startups being promoted at a different level, both by the government and also with the youths trying to come up with a lot of innovative ideas, wealth creation is an open discussion in today's thought process. And with that in mind, I was just wondering if Pravin could highlight on what kind of changes he has seen in the way wealth creation has happened, because he has been doing a lot of auditing and a lot of process that the compliances that is necessary. And suddenly he finds that the other day during conversation, he said that now there are more startups coming for compliances than the older companies, and now he has to deal with it. But while doing so, we need to understand the fact that we are creating more wealth, and there is a wealth distribution happening across the society. So in those lines, if you could kindly highlight how this wealth creation is happening in our society in Sikkim, as well as in India in general.
Thank you, Dr. Tej. So when we talk about development through banking, one of the important aspects what Dr. Tej told is about wealth creation. When we talk about wealth creation, it's not about the growth in the numbers. It's about improving the financial well-being of the individual, of the businesses, of the families, and the economy as a whole. In this, the banks, we professionals, play a very crucial role. The banks, how do they help in creating wealth? First and foremost, for the individuals. A simple savings account helps create wealth. Any person opening a savings account or a recurring deposit in the bank will help them create wealth over a period of time. Secondly, these days, banks are having a lot of investment options like fixed deposits, SIPs, mutual funds, and with this investment doing through the bank, the investors can make their money grow. Third, with the digital marketing, with the digital platform these days, banking has gone to the remote areas also, wherein anyone can start their growing of their funds journey. The second part is the businesses. Banks lend money to the entrepreneurs, to the MSMEs, to the startups. So with the partnership of the startups, MSMEs, and the business house with the banks, there is a transparency in the business. So that way, both the business as well as the banks grow. With this, the entrepreneurs, there is a growth in their operations, there is job creations and creations of wealth for the business house. Now coming thirdly to the society as a large. When banks funds big projects such as in agriculture, transport, hydro, green energy, it doesn't merely create assets. It creates income for the entire community. So thus, I would like to say that a rupee kept in the home is just a rupee after some time. But a rupee deposit in the bank will turn to a loan, then investment, and then creation of a wealth. So together with the MSMEs, the entrepreneurs, the banks, the money invested, there is a vicious circle. The funds goes to the bank, they lend to the entrepreneurs, and then money grows and investment happens. So this way, it is an overall development of the economy as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pravin. I think that's a wonderful note to take from you and move forward. Sir, our next question will be to our Honorable MLA, Sir Venyukma, sir. I have saved the best for the last so that we will be more excited about hearing from you with your vast experience in finances, in policy making, as well as being part of the public affairs on expenditures and other things. So more connected to the global policies and the inclinations of the global south that is being built up. And if you see recently the SEO's realignment and the polarity changes, no longer people don't want to be a bipolar organization. There has to be multipolar is something the External Affairs Minister very often quotes and says that you should not be a bipolar society anymore globally. Rather, we should move towards a multipolar organization. And with ourselves distancing, India distancing ourselves from the West, in particular America, if I have to mention, and if I may use the right, I don't know if it's right to use, but with all the trolls going to town, I was just wondering, we in Sikkim and Northeast in particular, do you think that realignment that is happening will create some positive impact for us? Will it also impact our entrepreneurs who are working at a very early stage because of the tariff that has come in with 50%? If I buy something that is 80 rupees, that's going to cost me 120 rupees, something that is going to be 120 odd rupees, which somebody has to do the absorption. Either the consumer or the manufacturer has to absorb. So with this in mind, I was just wondering if I could request you to set some lights upon how Sikkim and Northeast could benefit or could have disadvantage on this front, on this line, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tej. First of all, I have to wrap the question around me and assimilate it such that I could give a tangible and logical answer to it. But there is no such answer as such. There is only my perception of what will happen and what is supposed to happen and how we will benefit. From a very, very global perspective, just to give an example, a country has to look at its interest whenever you decide upon your foreign policy, the country's interest is paramount. There is no question when our foreign policy, people might say, why are you buying oil from Russia, or why are you buying oil from Iran, or for that matter, any other country? All these actions are determined by the foreign policy of our country, and which is consistent over a long period of time. So as you all very well know, there is a huge turmoil in terms of tariff, which is going on in the world, with America imposing 50% tariff to Indian imports. The question here is, who is going to benefit and who is going to go at a loss? I personally feel that everyone will be hurt. Okay, when you impose a tariff like that, first of all, the American consumer is going to get hurt because they are not having access to good quality and reasonable Indian products. No doubt, Indian importers will also face the brunt because Indian exporters will also face the brunt because whatever foreign exchange earning is there, that will be reduced because some other country like Bangladesh or Vietnam will be able to sell products at a cheaper rate to America. So this is a case and situation which the country as a whole has to absorb. So there is no way out. It is a long-term policy decision which the central government has to make, or for that matter, some state governments have to make to absorb this shock such that some relief is given to MSMEs or some big corporates also. So this is one part of it. Now, when there is a global realignment and when you talk about multipolarity, the issue out here is how do we as a country or a region adjust to that kind of a disruption? For example, I'm just giving an example from my mind and which is a historical fact. If you look at the region of Sikkim and Northeast and Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim and Darjeeling and Kalimpong and all, if you go back to the 50s, there was a huge trade called the Indo-Tibet trade through two passes, Jelapla and Nathula, and through Bomdila in Arunachal Pradesh. And if you look at all the sub-Himalayan belts, there are a lot of passes through which trade used to happen. All the economic development of that time in Sikkim, Darjeeling, Kalimpong happened through these trade routes. Now, the opportunity is, if these trade routes open in the near future, and if India-China relationship takes a different trajectory, are we as a community, entrepreneurs, or the country prepared to exploit this and tap this opportunity? So this is a big question for us. So I personally feel, this is my perception, I personally feel that it might happen. Okay? If something in, I think it was in 1959, the borders abruptly shut in the Indo-Tibet trade, it can abruptly open also. So this is a great opportunity for us, and this is how we have to look forward. Now, in terms of, Dr. Tej, I think please give me some kind of a leeway. So in terms of a community, as a region, as a people, as a government and policy maker, and we have bankers out here also, and you have entrepreneurs out here also, are we prepared for that? So what are we supposed to do? So we have to create an ecosystem to do that. Do we have that ecosystem to do that? So earlier, MD Saab was talking about State Bank of Sikkim, and you have a lot of other bankers out here. Like, whenever you talk about survivability of a bank, and whenever you talk of how the bank is successful and doing good, like State Bank of Sikkim under his leadership, you have a 10,000 crore kind of a turnover, which is very good, like unicorn thing, and it's amazing. Like for a small state like Sikkim, and for an institution like State Bank Sikkim doing it, it is amazing. But what are the unique propositions which the State Bank of Sikkim does? So I personally feel there are one or two things. Number one is that State Bank of Sikkim is a very, very personal or personalized banking institution, okay, which has got its ups and downs also. When someone asks for loan in the State Bank of Sikkim, Sikkim is such a small place that you know that whether that guy has a credibility or not. Okay? Because you are able to ask that, how is this guy? Whether he's able to repay or not? Is he sincere or not? So these are knowledges which the State Bank of Sikkim has, which I suppose other big public sector banks or private sector banks may not have access to. So this is one unique proposition of the State Bank of Sikkim, and it is a very big strength also. Maybe State Bank of Sikkim will have so much of networking in Sikkim that they will say, hey, please deposit money in our bank, we look after it. So most of the, like the earlier panelist was talking about wealth creation, but how do you make someone buy SIP, financial instrument? It only comes through your personal, personal touch and trust which the bank builds through its personal, which is to the individual. So this is very important for a bank. For example, I remember a bank called ABN AMRO. ABN AMRO was a very, very famous bank. I don't know whether it exists now or not. But ABN AMRO was, if you look at it, ABN AMRO's strength was in terms of diamond business. So they knew how to fund the diamond business, at what point cash flow has to be given, what kind of injection has to be given. So for a banking institution, it's very, very important to understand the particular business also, and that kind of injection and that empathy also should be there for the bank. So these are some of the things which I wanted to share. And other thing which MD Saab has said very, very, he has said it very, even though SBS doesn't come under the RBI guidelines, but it is a self-regulatory body, and you have to understand it very, very seriously, that how serious the State Bank of Sikkim is in terms of regulating itself. It is not someone telling you that you follow this, but you are doing it on your own. So this is a great thing for the State Bank of Sikkim. So in terms of, when I say an ecosystem, I'm talking about from the bank's perspective. So the ecosystem as a thought which comes to mind now is that I feel that it may be more than three, but banking sector, one, you have to develop that kind of ecosystem. To do that, must be more receptive from the entrepreneur side also, for entrepreneurs also, and of course government. So the state government of Sikkim under the visionary leadership of T.S. Gole Saab, we are doing it. We have a seeds program out here which which pushes entrepreneurship to a level which is unheard of in any other state. Okay, we are literally hand-holding people and talking about entrepreneurship and how to go forward. But from the entrepreneur's point of view, I'm talking about the entrepreneurs. Now, what we have to look at here is that, see, business is a very, very funny thing. Okay, when you have established business, what all businesses are looking at? Stability. Yes, you want stable policy, you want stable guidelines. You don't want that rules and regulations to change. That is the nature of business. Only when it's stable, then people need to come and invest. But entrepreneurship is a totally different ballgame. When there is uncertainty and instability, then comes the question of entrepreneurship. Isn't it? Then comes the question of entrepreneurship. Like, I like to advise all the young students out here, and if you want to go into entrepreneurship, so if there is a disruption in the market, for example, if there's a technological disruption, okay, one example I can give you is that one of the famous cameras which were there was, I think, company was Kodak. Yes, Kodak. If you remember, Fuji Films and Kodak. Now, Fuji Films and Kodak, they never realized that digital technology is going to replace them. They never realized it. But in terms, later on, this Kodak, Fuji Film disappeared, and you have digital cameras today. Had they realized it, they would still be in business. So entrepreneurship is all about playing with disruptions, maybe technological disruptions, maybe social disruptions. Yes. When I want to give an example of social disruption, something like the working women. Today, more women are working, so the need for gadgets in the kitchen is more. So an entrepreneur will say, okay, what gadgets can I make? Okay, so an entrepreneur will say, all these food chains which have come up. So entrepreneurs should look at disruptions, and it is to play with these kind of disruptions. Like the moderator, Dr. Tej, was asking me what will happen in terms of when the US has raised so much tariff. It's a wonderful opportunity for entrepreneurs. If the US has raised so much tariff, there is the uncertainty in the market. You have to look at it from the opportunity point of view and you have to hit that and come in. So entrepreneur is a completely different ball game. I went to one of the conferences when biotechnology was happening. And one of the questions which I asked was that, what is the government's policy? What are the government's rules and regulations in terms of that? And one guy stood up and said that the government shouldn't interfere in it. If there is no regulation and nothing, then only biotechnology, I'm talking at the Indian level, then only biotechnology will prosper. Because if you look at IT, information technology, which is $1 billion business, and you have so many unicorn companies throughout India and all. If you look at it, when all these IT things started, no one bothered about IT. Computers and 2 or 3 guys were playing computers like Narayan Murthy and all, they were playing computers. And the government of India and all the bureaucrats thought that, ye to IIT graduates ka खिलौना है, वो लोग खेलते ही रहेगा, कितना बढ़ेगा, कुछ नहीं होगा. They didn't make regulations. They were least bothered. But later on, they developed and you have IT revolution in India. So this is the thing about entrepreneurship. You have to play with uncertainty. You have to play with disruption in the market. Maybe disruption in technology, maybe disruption in social thing, maybe disruption in what you call global geopolitical thing which are there. So this is very, very important thing which I can give you. And for all the young people out here, I just like to clarify one thing. There is a common misconception that Bill Gates never did study college. He never graduated. Okay. For that matter, Mark Zuckerberg also never graduated. For that matter, Steve Jobs also never graduated from college. So the misconception here is that पढेर के हुन्छ? Why to study? Degree बिनै वो लोग तो इतना billionaire बन गया, billionaire भयो, पैसा यत्रो कमायो. But you have to understand one thing out here. Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and Steve Jobs, they were very, very intellectual people, and they were very, very entrepreneurial. The ordinary structure, education structure of Harvard or Stanford or MIT couldn't sustain them. They felt that I know more than the institution, and that is why they didn't do graduation. So this thing you have to remember. So there are certain things that they knew more. They said that if I stay in college and study for 3 or 4 years, I will miss out a lot of things. So it is not that they didn't graduate. It is that the structure of the institution, okay, was not capable enough or viable enough for them to achieve what they have envisioned. So this is very, very important from our perspective, and I like to address this primarily to the student community entrepreneurs. If you have something like that, then do it. Don't go for college, and you can take that heavy risk whatsoever. Okay? But this is what I want to say in terms of what Dr. Tej has asked me to think. I hope I have answered some or part of your question. Thank you so much.
Very big round of applause to you. So for this answer to this, I was trying to put a question on the global level. I think rightly quoted with Steve Jobs, what they call connecting the dots. What he called connecting the dots, I think he connected back to Sikkim very easily. I think that was wonderful, sir. And really appreciate. Going back, because of the constraint in time, I'll try to go back in the same rotation, but back reverse again, sir. So I'll be putting back the question again so that we maintain this continuity, if I may be permitted, sir. So the next question I wanted to highlight is, with the Biksit Bharat that we talked about, the 2047, India wants to be at par with the US economy in terms of the scale of economy that we have. That's about 30 trillion. And the vision document of Northeast, since I was part of it and partly understand where it goes from, we wanted the Northeast to be to contribute 3% of it, which will make it about 3 trillion in terms of numbers if we go by it. So 3 trillion is the economy of Japan, if I can correlate with the current trend today. So I think it is a fair ask by the people of Northeast. Sir, you are from the other side of the policy making side, so we are asking this question to you. It is a fair ask that we would like to be like Japan in 2047. This is the question that we wanted to put across. Sir, is there policies and programs in place and schemes that you would like to highlight to the audience today in alignment with this vision and that we would like to be like Japan in about 10 years from now or 15 years from now, that we would like to be on those track? And what are those engagements that you feel should be on priority, considering the fact that India generally grew the economy in terms of services, whereas China grew it in terms of manufacturing. And we are delayed by about a decade in terms of liberalization. China started in the late 70s, where India started in early 90s. So about a decade difference that we saw. And these two sectors being very, very different, what are the interventions from the policy level that you see should be prioritized? And what are the things that you feel have been visualized from your perspective, sir, to the audience, so that we can also dovetail our entrepreneurial spirit and make sure that we can align ourselves before you make the policy and plan around that. So over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Tej. In terms of policy making, I am too small a fry to say that this is the kind of policy which has to be done. But I see, I personally feel that Northeast and every one of us throughout India, we have to look at our strengths. So internal strength is very, very important. If you look at a country like maybe we can look at, the question out here is, if you look at economies, developed economies like Japan or China or US or South Korea and all, the learning from there is what not to do. I think that is the learning which we can have. Like as opposed to saying what we can do to be successful. Because success has many fathers, so to speak. There is no single silver bullet to say that this is how we will become successful. So I'm just thinking that we have to look at our strengths and see what not to do. Okay, if you look at a developed economy like Japan and all, I think Japan is also reeling. I'm just talking from broader perspective. Japan is also reeling under saying that they have succeeded so well. Now today, look at their fertility rate. Okay, it's going down. Like there is a rethink in terms of Japanese consciousness that where did we go wrong? Okay. So the question out here is, what shouldn't we do? Okay, what we should avoid? Like if you look at China, there is no research on it, okay? But I think this is just my perception. If you look at China and you say that China is a manufacturing hub, global manufacturing hub, okay? Then you look at India, we are a IT vertical hub, and we have become IT world leaders. And Japan also, you started by becoming a manufacturing hub. No, there is no research. Please don't quote me on this. But this is my personal thing. If you look at Japan and if you look at China, okay, their script is pictographic. Okay, pictographic. Our script is phonetic. Okay, we have only 26 alphabets in English or whatever in Bhutia, Tibetan or Nepali. We have scripts. What do you call them? Our script is phonetic, but their script is pictographic. Pictographic means like in Chinese, there are thousands of scripts to express something. Maybe they are good at manufacturing because their script is pictographic, and you are in a production line, and you just show a sign, and through that sign, then they are good at manufacturing. Okay, Japanese is also the same thing. We are not, our language's script is not pictographic. Maybe, so we may not become a manufacturing hub. As opposed to that, okay, we are a IT giant, okay. So our people are more into technology thing and all these things put together. But the issue out here is that look at China, okay. If you look at China, for a country like China, China's reform primarily started when Deng Xiaoping became the chairman of the Communist Party. The first thing he did, one of the first thing he did was that he had massive enrollment in universities. So huge, competitive exams throughout China, massive enrollment in universities. Then people who were like farming in the villages, they gave up their tools and they sat for university examination, and that was how the thing started. So everything has got to do with human resource development. Everything has got to do with human resource development. Now for us to visualize and say that this is going to be the next big thing in the future, now it is a waste of time. I personally feel it's a waste of time. Okay. So how do we build this human resource? okay, in this region and throughout India. How do we build these human resources that human resource will be what you call as capable to handle these future uncertainties and exploit these future uncertainties? This is the challenge which we have. So whenever we talk about Vikasit Bharat, and whenever we say that when you talk about Northeast becoming one of the centers of what you call hub for trade and thing, how do we develop this, our region? Our region has got a lot of things, but if you realize all the businesses today, all the businesses are everything to do with human resource and capital, human capital which is there. It is only through that exploitation, I feel that we can improve forward. One quick example which I want to say is that look at a country like Israel. Okay, people from here go to training in Israel, and they get exposed to modern agriculture practices. Okay, drip irrigation and all these things in Israel. Now, if you look at Israel, Israel is a country which doesn't have any natural resources. Okay, all sand and everything. But why are they able to do it? Because of human resource. Okay, so I would emphasize, there may be a lot of factors in it, but I would emphasize that human resource will drive this region, this country forward, because in tomorrow, what is going to be successful and what is not going to be successful, it is very, very difficult for us to judge and imagine. That is why I dread going to colleges and say that, I dread going to colleges and giving lectures on career guidance. Okay, I dread it very much, because someone can just, I know one thing, that someone today has become a vlogger and he has got 1 million subscribers and he is earning 7 lakh or 10 lakh rupees per month. Okay, when he was in school, I don't know, no career guidance or no career person may have gone there and said that you become a vlogger and you'll earn this much of money. So this kind of career counseling thing, which sometimes people call me in colleges and say, please give us. I'm very, very wary of doing all these things, because tomorrow's opportunity and tomorrow's business and wealth creation may happen in very, very different ways and means. So that is why I am very wary about giving things. But what I am fully convinced about is that it is only through development of human resource and knowledge that our economy and one region and country can prosper. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think that was very well put. And one of the interesting line that I could pick up from your statement is that we all think in our mother tongue and we speak in English. So first we process inside in our mother tongue. By the time we convert, it conveys as something else, something that we could highlight from you. Thank you so much, sir, and there's a wonderful insight to that. And as we move forward, getting back again to Mr. Pravin, as we go through the same circle, and with the time that constraint that we have, we'll try to move as quickly as possible. Mr. Pravin, how do you see the partnership of banks and chartered accountants? Because you come from this profession, how do you think the supporting the startup and the support of chartered accountant and the connection with the banks will help the growth and development of a state like Sikkim?
Thank you, Dr. Tej. Rightly said that startups are engine to growth. The partnership between chartered accountants and banks plays a very crucial role for any development of the business. I personally feel that the promoters, founders of the startup are very strong in their ideas. They have that conviction in their product and the service. But somewhere where they lack is the financial implications, how to raise the funds, the tax regulatory compliance and all. Now, there is where a chartered accountant and the banks, their partnership comes as a bridge for the entrepreneurs. So basically, as chartered accountants, what do? We help them, the entrepreneurs, the startups, to create financial projections wherein the banks has the trust so that they can fund the startups. Second part, we handle the tax compliances, the regulations, wherein again, if the startup is compliant with all the regulatory issues, they won't have any legal issues at a later stage. And the most important part is the cash flows. Generally, startups, what they do is they calculate the amount required only for the investment purpose to start the business. Whereas at the start of, after some time, they run short of money. So that is where we play a crucial role in helping them manage their money. With regards to banks, it is just like banks give fuel to the engine, to the startups. Banks give capital to the startups so that they can use their money transparently and judiciously, and then the business can grow. Seeing the time constraint, I'd like to sum up that it is just that the bank gives the fuel to the startups, chartered accountants give the guidance, and the startups, the founders, they give the innovation. With the partnership of all these three, the real development of the economy as a whole happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pravin. I think that was wonderfully articulated. I'll move to Mr. Navneet. And the question for you is regarding the widespread distribution of banking sector. Is it really helping our economy? And yesterday, to quote an incident, we just happened to be in the chamber of our MD, sir, and he was asking me, you've been here for quite some time. How many bank branches of SBS have you visited? The answer was none. Because today, the bank comes to you, you don't have to go to the bank. Digitization has helped me. And the only thing that because all of us at some point of time or other, we have had to get the help of SBS. And for me, it was always about paying taxes for my vehicle. Fortunately for me, I never have to go to the bank because I could do it, digitize it since it is digitized. So banking today is about the bank coming to you, not people going to the bank. So considering that in mind, the widespread distribution of banking, do you think, Mr. Navneet, will help in the financial hygiene, if I may put it that way, the financial hygiene, I don't know if it's even correct, for increasing the widespread banking sector, will it help the public? Is the question that I want.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tej. So there's 2-3 aspects that I can take out from this question. First is whether the distribution of banks or the number of banks, say for example, State Bank of Sikkim has about 58 odd branches in the state. Does it really help the general masses? But here it is important to understand that every retail organization, whether it's an outlet which is selling clothes or any KFCs or your pantaloons, every retail outlet has a certain spread. You have to look at a certain radius that they can cater to. Similarly, the bank also started operating wherein a bank will look at a radius of probably about 5 kilometers, which they can cater to the general public. So the bank has to move towards the customer, and as we move ahead, as we are pampering customers, customers will not come to us, we'll have to go to the bank. To take that step forward with innovation in digital space, in technology, a lot of work has started happening wherein through the mobile apps, through different structures, websites or other pages, the banks have been able to reach a certain segment of customers. So yes, distribution is very critical. Now, once like Phurba sir mentioned earlier, wherein financial inclusion has reached the general masses, nearly 89% people have actually started coming to the formal banking sector. But what next? Now, it is very pertinent to think that, okay, as a bank, the people have come and learned that they need to save money from cash. Like Pravin ji said, from cash we move to the savings account. But what then? So it is important that people like us, financial consultants or a lot of people who start going to the public and say that, okay, you've saved the money. One, is it enough? Second is, will it give you returns? Is your money working for you? Right? So if it is going to the bank, whether it is just lying in idle accounts or whether it's been further invested in the form of recurring deposit, fixed deposits, like Pravin ji said, SIPs or mutual funds. So education, I think one of the critical role that the future of banking will be literacy. Financial literacy will be the bridge between financial inclusion and economic development. So a financially literate customer is actually a good customer. The more he's aware is better for us as a banking fraternity. It's better for us to explain things to him. So it is important that we keep on doing these kind of exercises via the social media, via a written form, wherein people keep on trying to understand what banking or the banks can do for you, right? So I think this is a very elaborate topic, and with the scarcity of time, I think I'd like to close here, but further on the questions, we can take this forward.
Yes, thank you so much for that, sir. And moving to the lead banks, I'm just... Sir, while having your widespread distribution and spreading your wings across with 41 branches across Sikkim, what are your major challenges and solutions that you come across and you'd like to convey to the customers and the citizens of the states of Sikkim that you'd like to convey so that it becomes easier for them in terms of accessibility to the bank as well as for the sake of operations from your end as well, sir?
Thank you, sir. Like Navneet sir has just said, that financial literacy, being financially literate, that is still today, to a large extent, a big challenge for all organizations. And obviously, that is where the role of financial advisors and our chartered accountants come into play. In Sikkim, we have the Seed Cell, who's doing a wonderful job in educating young entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs. So the guidance on, like, you know, some technical aspects, on financial aspects, because the grit, the gumption, the conviction that the entrepreneur would bring to the table. But after that, how to go about it? As Pravin sir rightly said, that is where the role of the chartered accountants come into play. So that is one biggest challenge, because we still have a long way to go, right? Practically at the ground level, we see that, like, you know, we may observe some instances of, like, you know, funds being diverted for maybe some other purpose, apart from the one for which the fund was actually intended. So those are the areas where, like, you know, banks, financial advisors, chartered accountants, organizations like Seed Cells, they come into play. So I would say that is the biggest challenge. Apart from that, the infrastructure is there, because as much as I would like to believe that we have done well, but we have still not been able to reach the innermost part of Sikkim also. And over there, State Bank of Sikkim has done a really commendable job in opening 58 branches. Like, you know, nobody could have thought, like, you know, there are 58 locations, bankable areas in Sikkim. But as we see now, it is there, and the people are getting service right at their doorsteps. So that infrastructure thing, which was a big challenge, that has been addressed to a large extent. And third is digital divide. Digital divide, like, you know, many people, especially the older generation, they may not be having, like, you know, access to smartphones, may be having, but they may not be utilizing it. So digitization of banking for them, it becomes a big challenge. It becomes a very, very big challenge. So over there, like, you know, many of the banks are now coming up with alternate solutions, like, you know, WhatsApp banking, right? So we just need to explore that, like, you know, what are the other avenues? Because a person may not be very fluent in operating their smartphone, but WhatsApp they can pretty much do. Right? So they're very, so those are the kind of solutions the banks can come up with, they are coming up with. And if we can overcome these challenges, then I believe it would be a big boost to the economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think that's quite an interesting elaboration on what are the challenges and solutions. I'm sure the citizen of the state as well as the public in general will try to incorporate what advice you have made so that it becomes easy for you to operate as well as easy for ourselves to avail the facilities that you provided for us. Last but not the least, we started with SBS, and we are hoping that we will close the question with the MD of SBS. The question here is, sir, I'm asking on behalf of the entrepreneurs of the state of Sikkim, because I have a ringside view of their challenges, and I know what difficulties and challenges they face. And there are other aspects and opportunities which are not known to us because of the lack of awareness, so to say, or lack of literacy, if I may put it that way. So what are the things that we should take advantage of the banking sector? It could be exclusive to SBS, or it could be banking related services that is provided because you have a vast experience on banking. What are the things that we should do as entrepreneurs to get the best out of the banks that is being served here in Sikkim, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Tej. I think our eminent panelists, put in so many important issues in front of us, and it was so enriching. And, now coming to the questions, today's theme also is about development through banking. I think most of our entrepreneurs and our students from universities, and I think all the students are from the business department branches, So, as I said earlier, there is a sense of disconnect between the banking system and the entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs feels that, the banks are conservative and they don't listen, they don't understand their issues, their business models. And the bankers, they themselves have their own kind of issues. They have to maintain the asset quality. They don't want, they are risk averse. Definitely has to be, because the bank also has to move forward. Cannot take too many risks. But my suggestions to our entrepreneurs. So whenever they approach the bank, the first thing is they have to choose their products properly. They should produce what consumer wants and not what they want. If they produce a product which is not liked by the consumers, then definitely that business is going to have a lot of problems ahead. So my suggestion is that you have to be very, very particular in choosing your products. For example, it's very easy for us to produce our local products. We may produce local breweries. I've seen that we may produce even the most popular products in our place is Dalle Khorsani. But one question you should always ask, how many countries and how many places this Dalle has been introduced so far, and how many people would like to go through take this relish this Dalle Khorsani. This is a big question. So this needs to be researched, and we have to take into account before we decide that we are going to produce our kind of products. Handicrafts. Like for example, in Sikkim, that we have handicrafts like chokchi, Tibetan chokchis. So which is very beautiful. We really love having these chokchis in our house. But then how far we can market these chokchis to other parts of the country, or even beyond the boundaries of our countries. So we have to think. I think this is one area. Fortunately, we have our MLA sir here, and who is very much there in the policy making body. And another thing is that particularly if we talk about Sikkim, the Sikkim is now we can say that we are a tourism industry state. The tourism has taken a big leap forward in the state of Sikkim. But then everybody wants to construct a hotel. Okay. So my opinion is that how many hotels we need Okay, for example, if Gangtok requires 10,000 hotel rooms, so we should have 10,000 hotel rooms, not 50,000. Okay, the carrying capacity. No, this is my personal view that there should be some kind of policy where we should be able to identify where and how many is needed. And we should produce accordingly, And then if we exceed our carrying capacity, then everybody is going to suffer. So too many in a very small place is already going to play a very disastrous result at the end. So that is why my personal view is that that we should invest in those areas where it is needed, not what you are interested. If you are interested in investing in a hotel, it's fine. But you just make sure that investment is needed there. Then only we can be able to develop ourselves, progress also. So this is one issue. And another thing, a very good point that came up in the discussion is the financial literacy. Financial literacy and seed sale is doing a wonderful things, educating our entrepreneurs. But my take is that this kind of initiative should be taken at the school level. Because our Honorable Chief Minister's slogan that one family, one entrepreneur, is already there. So we have to prepare our youngsters to take up entrepreneurship from the very early stage. Not that after graduating that you end up trying to decide what to do from here. And in Sikkim, one thing which is very disturbing nowadays is that people are choosing jobs over entrepreneurship or a business. This is a very, very dangerous thing which is happening in Sikkim. So there's a very famous quote, that if you put a banana and a job before a monkey, that monkey will choose the banana. Okay, because that monkey doesn't know that job can create wealth and can buy a lot of bananas. The similar is the situation here. Okay, if we are given an opportunity between job and entrepreneurship, our people are choosing the job. So this thing we have to understand. So job is good so long if it is a proper job and a job which gives you security and a job which develops you, a job which has a promotion, which has an increment, which has a provident fund and pensions in it. But the business, if you start a business, you can create a lot of jobs. You can be a job givers. So the main question here is why entrepreneurship? So our youngsters, especially in Sikkim, now it is time to think, that what your entrepreneurship is going to. And another thing is about coming out of your comfort zone. In Sikkim, now I'm talking particularly Sikkim in point, keeping Sikkim in mind. We have to come out of comfort zone. And what is that comfort zone? Our people want job at their own place. Okay, business at their own place. If somebody is from Namchi, he wants to start a business in Namchi only. If somebody is from Gazing, he wants to have a job in Gazing only. Okay, they don't want to move out of their comfort zone. Unless we struggle, we don't succeed. This is the very secret of success. You can see glaring example all over the world. For example, with due respect to all the communities, our Marwaris friends, Okay, in fact, my colleague Pravin is also from the same community, no? Marwar is a place in Rajasthan, which is a desert, you know. So if Marwaris, if they stays back in Rajasthan, Marwar, you know, it's very difficult for them to develop. No, but then Marwaris, because of the situation, they moved out of Marwars. They are all over the world today, and they are, I think, counted as one of the most successful community all over the world today. You know, because they choose to come out of their comfort zone. Similarly, in Sikkim also, we have to come out of our comfort zone. No, we cannot keep on producing only dalle. My appeal to our people is that why don't we go out of Sikkim? Why we complain only people coming into Sikkim? Why don't we choose go out of Sikkim and do business and do entrepreneurship elsewhere in the country? We can do, no? We do have a few examples, you know, of people doing good business in Delhi, you know, in Chandigarh, in other places. You know, I think few of our entrepreneurs has their marketing of momos in Calcutta, you know, and in other places, no. And they are making huge headlines for us, you know. So that is why I think we have to connect with bank. Banks are there to help you out. But then when you go to the bank, you prepare your project report properly. And, you know, as, you know, here our MLA sir was telling us that with State Bank of Sikkim being a small place, you know, we don't need KYC. You know your customers, because we know each and every Sikkimese people here, no? And I think that is about knowing, we know each and every, you know, how much repayment capacity of, you know, our Sikkimese people are having, what kind of business acumen they are having. So we know it, no? So that is what, no? So you also have to acquaint with your project report. No, it's not that you're coming to the bank and saying, "Ke loan paunch hala?" You know, the very first question you fail there. As a banker, if somebody comes to me and say, "Ke ko loan paunch hala?" Bhannu sat, you know, you fail there. No, then moto ko khatam bhayhale. You know, what answer should I give? Similarly with the other banks, you know, they are facing the same problem. No, you go with the project report to a bank prepared by a chartered accountant, and that promoter doesn't know what is there inside the project report. We ask, you know, what is your capital? He doesn't know. How much loan you want? He doesn't know. What is the process? You know, taking forward your project? He doesn't know. And then, you know, when bank says, you know, then bank starts telling him all kinds of stories, and then at the end they says, "Your bank khatam cha, your bank le you gardena." You know, first you have to be ready with your project. You should know your project now. Keep this in mind, all our entrepreneurs. You know, instead of KYC, it should be KYP. KYP well. Okay, so this I feel if you do this, I think you will be able to connect with the banks well, and banks are already ready to help you out to give you more impetus. And one more thing, in Sikkim, the funda is about borrowing and investing. Okay, it's not about saving and investing. Okay, this is a big problem in Sikkim. You know, you should save first. You should build your small capital, whatever it is, and then you should borrow. You know, because bankers, you know, theoretically, we say that for a small business, we may accept 5:1 debt equity ratio or 4:1 debt equity ratio. But practically, the comfortable debt equity ratio is always to be something around 2:1. That if you are planning to borrow 1 crore, you must have at least 50 lakhs with you. Okay, so that will make your project more viable and also make your banker more comfortable in sanctioning your loans. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we got a new acronym today, KYP. I think we'll take this forward. So this is something that has come out of this conclave. And sir, as a last concluding remark and a message, may I request Honorable MLA, sir, if you have any last message that you would like to convey, concluding message to the to all the audience here, before we take another 2-3 questions and we'll wind this off. Yeah.
Thank you so much. First of all, just to give a wrap up of all these things, for all entrepreneurs, okay, who are here, whenever you are in the business of convincing your bankers, talk in their language. You have to talk the language of a banker, and the banker will understand that. So that is very, very important. Number 2, I personally feel is that, as I think MD Saab said it very nicely, but I just want to elaborate it. This really happens, okay? For an innovator or for an entrepreneur, what happens is that sometimes you love your product too much. The community, people may not like your product, but you love your product too much, but it may not be commercially viable. So that is the biggest trap someone can get into. The third point which I want to make is that look at what your strength is and play with uncertainty. Okay, it is very, very important to play with uncertainty. Wherever that uncertainty and risk can be quantified, okay, then you quantify it, but play with uncertainty. Because people may say that people in the hills don't play with uncertainty, okay? But I personally feel that we have played with uncertainty for a very long time. If you look at our history from the hills, you will find that most of the people, when there were very few opportunities out here, because our regions are very, very subsistence farming regions, most of the people, if you look back, you'll say, if you look at your grandfathers and all, they'll say, "Kahan goyo the Paltan?" They'll say Paltan. That means they have joined the army. So to join the army, you have to walk down from the hills and go to the plains and you have joined the army. So they say Paltan goyo. And during those days, Paltan Janu is like whether this guy is going to return or not. So that is the level of uncertainty which our people had. So I think this is also very, very important that you have to understand uncertainty and play with this uncertainty. Of course, financial literacy and everyone, I think the panelists have very much said in terms of financial literacy and all these things which are there. MD Saab has very, very fondly put it that in terms of debt equity ratio, because the bank is basically looking at when you put your capital, how committed are you? Okay, so it is not that the bank is going to fund you 100% and you are going to roller coaster on the funds of the bank. So this is very, very important from our side. From the policy making point of view, from the government point of view, I personally feel, okay, not that I'm a legislator of the government, I'm saying this, but I personally feel that the government of Sikkim, under the visionary leadership of our Chief Minister P.S. Golesa, we have done a lot in terms of entrepreneurship, okay? We have done a lot. You have a separate seat cell to handhold you and do a lot of things. So this opportunity has to be exploited by all the younger generations and would-be entrepreneurs. But for the banking side, I would just like to put one thing forward, that I think this personal banking and personal touch is also very, very important. Because I think the banking side, we are so digitalized, okay? We are not visiting the bank at all, okay? But for older customers, okay, people who have retired, they would like to visit a bank and maybe talk to the bank staff out there, and it will make their day, okay? This is a completely different thing. There may be a handsome cashier out there or a beautiful cashier out there. Maybe you would like to visit and talk to it. So this personal touch of a banking also, I feel it's very, very important. Of course, digitalization is something which we cannot stop at all. So these are the few words which I want to put forward. I'm very, very thankful. I've enriched myself hearing to all the panelists, and especially Dr. Tej for putting us through this beautiful questions which are there. I hope I have made my my presence worth, and maybe I think MD Saab will also judge me in terms of
whether it was fruitful or not. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think those are wonderful words. As we come to almost the end of this because of the constraint of time, very rightfully said, sir, you said we should speak in the language of the banking people, the bankers, we should speak. I avoid that as much as possible because I'm from non-finance and I don't want to trouble myself. Now that it has come to the end of it, maybe I will try to put back across, because the question will be all from you now, you can speak in finance. One language that I'm aware of and I know with the bankers is, there was a movie, I don't know, many of you slightly in the 40s maybe able to remember, there was a movie called Qayamat Se Qyamat Tak. I think many of you have seen that. The banking people talks about, we said the favorite movie of bankers are Quarter Se Quarter Tak. So that is what they generally say, and you can speak, if you have to take a proposal to the bank, talk about from one quarter to the next quarter, and so that you are profitable, they are ready to fund you. With that, I put these questions across on the floor. If there's any question, I think we should take about 3 questions. If you permit, somebody can roll the mic around. Thank you.
नमस्कार सबको. मेरा क्वेश्चन ऑब्वियसली एमडी सर से रहेगा. मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसे कि हम सबको पता है कि जो यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं वो हमारे इकोनॉमिकल ग्रोथ के लिए काफ़ी ज़्यादा मतलब ज़रूरी है, हमारे फ्यूचर जनरेशन के लिए, सारी चीज़ों के लिए. यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर जो 22-23 साल के हैं, 21 साल के हैं, ऑब्वियसली एमएसएमई भी 21 साल के ऊपर के लोगों को फंड प्रोवाइड करवाती है बैंक्स के थ्रू. तो उस पॉइंट पे मैं ये मतलब मेरा यही सवाल है कि जैसे कि हमारा एमएसएमई कहता है कि फंड्स उनको मिलेगा जिनके मतलब सिविल स्कोर्स अच्छे होते हैं, राइट. डॉक्यूमेंटेशंस होती हैं जैसे कि आईटीआर, proof of income, GST returns and so many documents. और इसमें यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स के पास ये सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स मैक्सिमम टाइम्स अवेलेबल नहीं होते, क्योंकि वो ऑब्वियसली अभी पढ़ के आए हुए होते हैं, तो ये सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स नहीं होते, उनके पास फंड की भी कमी होती है. अब हम बात करते हैं कि लोअर इनकम ग्रुप के यंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स का, जिनके पास आइडिया तो बहुत अच्छा है पर पैसे लिमिटेड है और वो उतना ही पैसा इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं और वो बाकी बैंक से चाहते हैं. तो एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम बैंक मतलब उसके डॉक्यूमेंट है नहीं, तो बैंक उनकी डॉक्यूमेंटेशंस में कैसे हेल्प करती है, कितना लिबरलाइज होती है. एक तो क्वेश्चन वो है. दूसरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि एमएसएमई के थ्रू अगर कोलैटरल फ्री रहता है, आपका सिविल अच्छा रहता है, मान लेते हैं कि उसका बैकग्राउंड जो उसके ट्रांजेक्शन्स थे, बैंकिंग हिस्ट्री काफ़ी अच्छी है, तो 7% के आसपास इंटरेस्ट रेट दिया जाता है. तो 7% के आसपास जो इंटरेस्ट रेट दिया जाता है, इन फ्यूचर मान लेते हैं कि उसका क्वार्टर बाय क्वार्टर पे, अगले क्वार्टर में शायद उसका बिजनेस अच्छा ना चले, तो एट दैट टाइम वो जब फाइनेंशियली सफ़र कर रहा है, तो एसबीएस उसकी किस तरह से हेल्प करती है इंटरेस्ट रेट कम करने में, या किस तरह से लिबरल होती है कि वो आगे अपना बिजनेस कंटिन्यू कर सके. जैसे कि हम सबको पता है कि एमएसएमई जो है 2022 टू 2023 के अंदर ग्रॉस वैल्यू एडेड इन जीडीपी राइजिंग बाय 30%. अगर हम लोअर इनकम ग्रुप के एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को अगर हम उठाते मतलब ऑब्वियसली कोई भी बैंक और कोई भी फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस अगर उठाता है तो ऑब्वियसली बहुत अच्छा होगा. और दूसरी बात ये है कि अगर एमएसएमई के थ्रू अगर हम फिनटेक लेंडर्स के पास जाते हैं तो वही इंटरेस्ट रेट 25% होता है, तो ऑब्वियसली वही गवर्नमेंट बैंक के पास आते हैं कि इंटरेस्ट रेट कम मिले, लिबरलाइज ज़्यादा हो. तो उस पॉइंट में एसबीएस किस तरह से हेल्प करती है?
थैंक यू. आपका जो प्रश्न है ना, जैसे सिविल स्कोर जो है, बैंक्स सिविल स्कोर देखता है ना, सिविल स्कोर इसीलिए देखता है क्योंकि उनका बैंकिंग रिलेशनशिप कैसा है विद दूसरों बैंक के साथ में, उनका रिपेमेंट कैपेसिटी, उनका रिपेमेंट हैबिट कैसा है, ये सब देखने के लिए सिविल स्कोर उसको देखा जाता है. अगर मान लो कोई बोरोअर है, कोई आदमी है जो सिविल स्कोर एकदम ही खराब है, तो बैंक वो देखता है कि कहाँ कितना डिफॉल्ट वो किया हुआ है. ठीक है, सिविल का ये मतलब नहीं है कि वो कोई नया इंटरप्रेन्योर्स वो टेकअप नहीं कर सकता है. दूसरा आपका क्वेश्चन जो आपने सही बोला कि जो स्टार्टअप्स है, जो इंटरप्रेन्योर्स नहीं आता है, उनके पास में कैपिटल नहीं होता है, इसलिए गवर्नमेंट ने आज बहुत सारा स्कीम्स लॉन्च किया हुआ है. ठीक है, आप नेशनलाइज बैंक में जाएंगे, आप KBIC के थ्रू में आएंगे या तो DIC के थ्रू में आएंगे, जैसे PMEGP है, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, सिक्किम गवर्नमेंट का स्किल यूथ स्टार्टअप स्कीम जो है, जिसमें आपका कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट्स खाली 5% होता है एंड सब्सिडी है। जो सब्सिडी दिया जाता है हमारा एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को, वो इसलिए दिया जाता है क्योंकि उसमें कैपिटल नहीं होता है। तो ये जो सब्सिडी, जो सपोर्ट है, ये सबसे बड़ा फैसिलिटी, जो इंसेंटिव जो नए हमारा एंटरप्रेन्योर्स को दिया जाता है, जो कि ये सब्सिडी उस क्षेत्र में दिया जाता है, उस एरिया में दिया जाता है जहां ऑपरेशंस डिफिकल्ट हो। ठीक है, जो आप कपड़ा का दुकान खोलना है या जो चलता हुआ बिजनेस में, उसमें तो सब्सिडी नहीं मिलता है, लेकिन जो सब्सिडी दिया जाता है, जो नए एंटरप्रेन्योर्स जो इंटरेस्टेड है उनको सब्सिडी स्कीम्स है। सो जितना भी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स है उन लोगों को ये सब स्कीम अवेल कर सकता है। सो इंटरेस्ट रेट भी उसमें कम होता है, मार्जिन जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है उनका, जो अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन लगाना है, वो 5% हो सकता है उसमें, जहाँ कोलेटरल का जरूरत नहीं है। ये कई सारा, और MSME में CGT MSC जो स्कीम्स है, जो नेशनलाइज बैंक्स को थ्रू में ऑपरेट करता है, ये सब अवेल करके नए एंटरप्रेन्योर्स आगे आ सकता है। थैंक यू।
There seem to be always dearth of funding avenues for the entrepreneurs in Sikkim. At the same time, there are many people in Sikkim who at the time of retirement, they have a lot of cash flow, maybe 5 crores, 10 crores, 20 crores, and they are looking for some areas, lucrative areas to invest. Since we don't get those areas, we will end up investing outside the state. So our money is flowing outside, used by somebody else. But our entrepreneurs are struggling to get funding. So can we trap these two areas and create an avenue where our people get an opportunity to invest within the state, and our money is used by our own entrepreneurs, and then so that there is a win-win situation? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. My simple suggestion to you is that you invest this in State Bank of Sikkim, and your money will remain in Sikkim. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think with this, I've been constantly reminded that we are out of time already. To conclude, what we have come across is that two major things that we could see as a conclusion to the discussions that we have, two major words that I would like to put it together. One is growth, another one is development, which are not the same, which we have interchangeably used. That I can see that reflections because of this discussion. While growth talks about numbers of individual and institution, and development so rightly pointed out by our Honorable MLA Sahab for making sure that there are the stakeholders are equally important, and everybody gets a fair share of everything that happens in the state. So that's a wonderful conclusion that we could come to, and also to the fact that the vision of the Honorable Chief Ministers towards the highest literacy rate that we have been able to achieve, as well as the ecotourism that has been promoted, are something that is commendable. And one very important perspective on terms of entrepreneurship is the leave policy that is given for taking up entrepreneurship and their choice of thing, which is something very unique that no other state even has it. So I think with all that, we come to the end of this session, and thank you everyone, and thank you all the panel member for taking out time and being part of this. And we once again would like to thank the SBS for organizing this session and making this a wonderful day, and to Sikkim Chronicle and all the media houses, and also would like to take this opportunity to thank all the members of SBS and all the dignitaries who have taken out time, and the audience to join us today. Thank you so much. Let's give a big round of applause for everyone.